What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and is there anything out there that sometimes sounds so stupid that it just might be dumb enough to be true, that maybe, just maybe, there is a corporation that is that woke enough, that is that obsessed with identity politics over legacy and lore and story, that they just might do it? Well, if there is a company out there, it would be Disney, and if there is a product out there, it could very well be the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that's why when stories like this get going, even when they're on We Got This Covered, they start to go viral because everybody is united about how stupid this idea is. And everyone also knows that there's a chance that Marvel just might do it. Look at the headline: Marvel Studios may drop the men from Xmen. And this is, of course, from We Got This Covered. Now, there's really no basis in reality for this story. This is not a rumor that's out there. This is not something that got leaked, anything like that. Bounding in Comics did an article that kind of encapsulates why this is even a headline on We Got This Covered, which is fake news, as we all know. Bounding into Comics says Marvel Studios promotes executive who believes the X-Men name is outdated. And of course, this is Victoria Alonso. Victoria Alonso, who the more involved she gets with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the worse it becomes. The longer that she is around this property, the longer that she stays there and gathers more power, the more woke it gets, the more obsessed with identity politics it gets. 2 years ago, this woman made a statement about the X-Men name being outdated, and it's all coming up again right now after her most recent promotion. The Walt Disney Company and Marvel Studios promoted Victoria Alonso to be the new president of physical, post-production, VFX, and animation. Marvel Studios President Kevin Feige said Victoria has been an incredible partner and part of our team since the very first Iron Man. She is one of the most dynamic, candid, accessible executives in the industry, and we're thrilled she'll continue to be by our side in this elevated role as we lead Marvel Studios into the future. And again, the reason that I talk about this is because of this interview she did. I can't believe Louis Leckett did this interview. It's so funny to think of now, but with Nuke the Fridge. We're going to listen to her statements and why there's 41 likes and 1.2 thousand dislikes. But I think the most interesting part about all of this is the reaction that everyone's having. Basically, everyone is saying this is fucking stupid. When even people like Brianna Wu are saying there's really no point in changing the name, you know you've missed the mark. You know you have no idea what you're talking about. But these are the people that are employed at Marvel, like Victoria Alonso, people that have no idea about the legacy and the history of these characters. They just want to adopt them and use them for identity politics. Lisa Britton says internal thinking at Marvel Studios is that X-Men isn't sufficiently inclusive. Come on, this is getting embarrassing. Are we women strong and capable, or big babies who can't handle things like X-Men? I'm getting mixed messages. And over when you go through this trend, X-Men is one of the most inclusive and diverse series in the history of comic books. This is dumb. Indeed, it is dumb. In fact, it is fucking stupid. But this is Marvel, this is the MCU, and this is Disney. Look, even Brianna Wu. The X-Men movies in general have excellent women characters. They have rich inner lives and don't exist for a man to have an adventure. Even Brianna Wu is saying that's not something that needs to happen. Sees X-Men trending. Sees why X-Men is trending. Reminds the universe that even though they're called X-Men, all the best X-Men are women. I wouldn't agree with that, but when you look through the X-Men roster, you do realize there are a ton of great female characters. Nobody gives a shit that they're called the X-Men. The only people who care about that are people that don't care about comic books. They don't actually care about these characters. They just want to get involved and change something so they can claim some sort of scalp for social justice and destroy that franchise and then move on to the next thing to change it too, so it fits whatever worldview they think they need to have. Absolutely insane. Imagine removing the men from X-Men because you don't think it's inclusive enough. This is exactly the kind of thing Deadpool 2 was making fun of. And why don't we go? Should we play what Victoria Alonso said? Should we play what this woman said that resulted in this ratio? Again, this is not a new story. This is an old story that's getting drugged back up. But the best part is seeing everyone bash this idea and realizing that the person that had this idea to begin with has just recently been promoted, because that's what Marvel's all about now. Obviously. It's quite obvious if you've seen any of the shit that they're putting out. Let's listen.
So you guys have a lot of toys to play with now in the future, including the X-Men, right?
Yes.
Could you, of course you can't tell me much, but can you give me a little hint of what the future is coming? Where is the future going? And
It's so funny that this was during an interview for Captain Marvel, for the release of Captain Marvel. And Victoria Alonso was at the forefront of that, very much promoting that it was a female director and all of these things.
excitement?
I don't know where the future is going. It's funny that people call it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated. I don't.
Jesus fucking Christ. It's funny that people call it people don't call it the X-Men. It's called the X-Men. It's like walking up to the Empire State Building and be like, it's funny that people call it the Empire State. No, that's its fucking name. That's what it is. People don't just call it that. People just didn't decide to call it that for no reason and it caught on. That's their fucking name. They are the X-Men. This is someone who has now got more power at Marvel, more power in the MCU. This is why we're seeing all of these things happen, because people like this, people like Victoria Alonso, continue to get more power over identity politics. And when the focus is on that, the focus is on representation and having a woman be part of this, even when she knows nothing about these characters, the story suffers. We see it time and time and time again. There are people that are in denial about this, but it is quite obvious if you've looked at the goal of MCU Phase 4. If you listen to Kevin Feige talk about the goals moving forward for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is the direction they're headed. And Pitmaster Broda says it best. Please be actually stupid enough to do this. No, seriously. Please be dumb enough to remove the X-Men brand name because it's outdated. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen. Even though we had the little line thrown in there from Mystique with Jennifer Lawrence in, what was that terrible movie called Dark Phoenix? Even though we had that line where she makes a remark about X-Men when the women do all the work around here, I don't think they will do it, not because I don't think they're woke enough to do it, because I think they realize the value that the name X-Men has. I think that they have to understand the value that that name brings, you know what I mean? And that they're not going to change it for those reasons. But the ideas that are behind these things, like Victoria Alonso's talking about, these very much are present at Marvel, and it's shining through, especially in MCU Phase 4, with these very terrible storylines. The identity politics and the agenda are shining clearly now. But it's funny to see all this trending, and essentially the entire world uniting against the very idea of dropping the X-Men name because it's outdated. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.